Welcome to the demo of the call center use case. This is the main dashboard, which is divided into three displays. The top left display is a visualization of the map of Spain, and what we see here is the location of the three different call centers. The one located in Barcelona, the second one located in Madrid, and the third one located in Sevilla. And this visualization has been designed to provide the geolocation of the call centers and at the same time provide a summary of information about the progress of the phone calls that take place there. So what do we see here is that next to its call center location, we see a pie chart that shows the distribution of the percentage made of the calls that have a positive status or a negative status or have been dropped. What does that mean is that after the automatic processing of the calls, the modeling process determines whether the outcome of the call was positive, meaning that the problem for which the customer called was resolved, or at least the customer was happy about the progress of the call, or that they were negative, which means that the customer was not satisfied with the outcome of the call or the progress of the problem that was brought to the attention of the call center, or the percentage of the calls that were dropped, meaning that calls that were not answered in time. So in this example, we see that the call centers in Sevilla and Barcelona are mostly handling successfully the calls, although in Sevilla there's a quite large percentage of calls that are classified as negative, having a negative outcome, whereas the call center in Barcelona appears to have a very high percentage of calls that are dropped, so they go unanswered. So this instantly indicates how well these call centers function and can bring to the attention of the supervisor if there is like an urgent matter that needs to be brought into the attention. So for such high percentage of calls with negative outcome, it might be indicative of a problem with a network or the communication hardware, the antennas, some major breakdown. Or it might be an indication of the call center not handling as good as it should the calls. On the right hand side, we see the other display, which is basically a summary of statistics, the raw counts for the same, again, three call centers, the Sevilla, Madrid, and Barcelona. And we see the number of cases that fall in the positive, negative, and dropped class. And we also see the average waiting time. So we see that on average, the callers have to wait longer for the call center in Barcelona and much less in the Sevilla. That might also explain the high percentage for the dropped calls. We also see here the average time required to resolve the problem in minutes. So these two provide, I would say, complementary information. Finally, we have the third display, which is a line chart, and we have the overall view for all call centers, but also for the three cities separately. And we see again the distribution of the positive, negative, and dropped calls and also the average waiting time and the average resolution. And this, this again information is complementary to the first display because it shows the progression over time, not just for the current moment. So we see here that in the case of Barcelona, we have a very high percentage of drop calls, which over time did not improve, but actually it the percentage remain more or less stable. So this means that there is an issue here that must be examined further. In the case of the Madrid call center, we see that the the calls were addressed in their majority successfully, but over time, the percentage of the calls with negative outcome started increasing and remained relatively stable over time. And in Sevilla, we see that the call center began with a very high percentage of negative outcome calls, but that percentage slightly decreased over time. And this concludes the demonstration for the call center use case.